Hello, this video is for the pilot retouch file that you're going to be working on today and for a few days. So the tools that we're going to be using are the move tool, the crop tool, the spot healing brush, the healing brush, and the patch tools all underneath. This tool, the clone stamp tool, the dodge and burn tools, the hand tool, and the zoom tool. So you have downloaded the pilot, I assume. So let's open it up in Photoshop and we can begin working on it. Okay, so the first thing that you want to do is save your file. So we're going to go save as, and then save it onto your computer. And you're naming it Kelly_retouch_pilot. And we're saving it as a PSD file. Now, of course, you don't put my name in there. You put your last name up there. But it's going to be a Photoshop document. So we want the Photoshop document so we see the layers. Okay, and save that. All right. Next, we want to create a new layer from this background layer. Background layers are pretty much, you don't want to touch them. You want to keep the original as intact as it could possibly be if you don't have it saved somewhere else on your computer. So what we're going to do is we're going to unlock that layer by just double clicking the lock here on this end of the layer. And then we're going to drag this down to new layer. And then it's going to make, oops, sorry. We're going to drag this down to new layer. And this is going to be called working layer. So let's call that working layer. And let's call layer 0 original. And then, didn't take, let's see. Then you're going to lock that layer back up. We don't really want to do anything with that layer. You want to protect and preserve your original, your background layer. Okay. So now what we're going to be doing is working on the working layer. So select that layer. And then we want to show our rulers, which you've learned is Command R on the keyboard, show the rulers. And we're going to grab a ruler and bring it down to the upper left-hand corner. And then what we're going to do is take the move tool, Command T, select that image, and then rotate it by hovering outside. So we're going to rotate that image. And you're using the guide. To line it up. So I'm going to move that guide down to see how well I did. And I did pretty darn good. Okay. So we've got your working layer. We've rotated the image. Now, the first thing I want you to do, just to get you used to the tools of this assignment, is to select the spot healing brush tool. And you're going to make it a little bit larger than the pinholes. Okay, and you're going to make sure, I have it on hard, normal, size is 50 pixels. So I'm going to start there, and I'm just going to, let's set this up first. It's good. And I'm going to put it right over that pinhole and takes it right out. Touch it up a little bit. Okay, same thing over here on the right. Then go down to the lower right. Zap it a couple times. Could make your brush bigger, which I'll do on this one because this one has like an embossment effect around it. So I'm hitting my bracket a couple times to make that tool a little larger. There you go. So now we've gotten, I'm going to go back up here and touch this. This one didn't come out too well. Okay. So now you've got the pinholes removed. Next, let's see what we're going to do next. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is, because we made a duplicate of the image itself, we have a little bit of this image peeping through, and we need to revise that because we've straightened the image. So let's go and take our elliptical marquee tool, and let's make a selection on the right hand side. Oops, that's too big. And we're going to select that area that's running down the edge of the photo. And what I'm going to do is use the eyedropper tool and take a sample from the upper left-hand corner so it fills the set foreground color. And now that we have this selected over here, you're going to go edit fill, foreground color 100%, and there you go. So let's see, let's do it to the top too. Okay, so we're going to create a marquee. This isn't in your exercises, but I think it's an easier way to do it than using the clone stamp tool, but we're going to get to the clone stamp tool next. So just create a marquee. You've sampled the color. So you go up to edit, fill. Edit, fill at 100%. And there you have it. So I think that's pretty good. Okay, we're going to go down here because there's some different values down below here. So let's get rid of those. So we've got that. Edit, fill, foreground color. Perfect. Now, I think, well, we might as well finish it off by doing the bottom too. Okay. Okay. So now we've got the frame. You can use your spot healing brush to touch up little areas down here, but otherwise it looks pretty good. Next thing we're going to do is going to take the clone stamp tool. Okay. With the clone stamp tool, you need to take a sample. Okay. So we're going to fix this area right here. Okay. So we're going to just move farther along down the edge to find a part of the edge that we want to sample. And I'm going to make my brush just a tad smaller because you don't want to take in more that you need. Okay. You hit option, get the little target, and we're going to come back over here and paint it. And oh, the opacity is only 35. So let's move that opacity up to 100. And there, much perfect. Much more perfect. Okay, so you have to check your tool option bar to make sure nothing's screwing you up here. Okay, let's go down here. See if we can fix this area. This is going to be trickier because it's right on the corner. So I'm going to do two samples, one for the top and one for the bottom. So I'm going to turn my brush, make it smaller, about the size of that, hit option, make it that target. And then everything is good in the tool option bar. I'm going to come down here, press. That's okay. Seems like something is creating up. I'm going to make a hard brush instead of a soft brush. Let's see if that'll do the trick. Okay. So let's take a sample. Option, sample, and then put it in place. Yeah, much better. So that was my brush. That was the problem there. So you have to check things, check to make sure everything's, your settings are correct while you're using these tools. So what you do with the tool option bar is sample. So you take a sample and then you paint with it. Okay. So now I'm going to go to the healing brush, spot healing brush. That's what we use to do the pinholes. And this is so much fun. Okay. So we see some things here. My brush is probably a little bigger than I need. So I made it smaller, still a hard edge. There you go. There you go. So what I'm doing is using the spot healing brush I'm taking out all these imperfections and they come out and it's pretty fun. Let's take out that thing right there. Look at that. Just matches perfectly the area behind it. There's a little noogie right there. And I'm doing this to lead up to working on his face because that's the tricky part of the assignment. Okay, so there we go. There we go. Getting all these little niffies out on the plane. Yep. There we go. We can even do some part of his jacket. Yeah. It's kind of got oil and grease on it. So far we've used the spot healing brush. We've used the clone stamp tool. We're going to use the patch tool right now. I'm going to zoom in on an area where he has an oil stain on his slacks. Let's go in here. So I'm zooming down. You can use your grabber head to slide it up. Okay, so I'm pinpointing this area right here, these two areas. So what I'm going to do is grab my patch tool, which is this funky looking tool right here. And I'm going to select this area that I want to change. Okay. So I'm going to close the selection. So we get the marching ants and make sure I have source selected, which I do. So then I'm going to move that selection into an area. Come on. That is like what I want to duplicate. And it's not doing it. There we go. I had transparent checked, which I have no idea why. But you have to check your tool option bar to make sure everything is what you want it to be. Okay, so I'm going to circle that again. And I'm going to get rid of this one right there. Okay, Randy. Okay, next we're going to do this. Well, there's a couple areas here, but I think I can get rid of this one with the healing brush. So let's just get rid of this one right now. Okay, that's good. Randy. Perfect. Let's try this one. I don't know. I think it's distracting, so let's get rid of that too. Oops, didn't mean to overshoot there, but it doesn't matter. Okay, so I'm going to grab it up here. Command D. Okay. And we'll do one more because the patch tool is kind of fun to use. All right. So there you go. Then the spot healing brush will get rid of some of those other ones. Okay. So there you go. These slacks look pretty good now in that area. We still have to fix them up over here. And maybe the spot healing brush will be just the ticket. I enlarged my brush. And this one looks like it's. Now we see these stripes coming down. These lines that are coming. Your job is to get rid of them. So what I'm going to do is decrease the size of the spot healing brush and just sort of paint with it. And it's getting rid of it. Okay. So far, so good. Hope you're enjoying this. And then lastly, we're going to talk about how to take care of the face. And then we're going to apply some filters to the whole thing. And that'll show you how you can complete this project. Okay, so I have zoomed into the pilot's face. Now I've already taken out some lines. And this is the tricky part. You don't want to make him look, you can really do some damage. It'll look like bad plastic surgery if you don't be careful on the face. Okay, so what I have done in the past, which seems to have worked really well, is I have done the patch tool You're welcome to try any technique you want to fix these teeth, but these teeth are pretty tricky. So what I've done is I'll make sure you're on the working layer again. Okay, so I've selected his teeth. So I made this. And now up here, I'm going to say destination instead of source. So what I'm doing is I'm going to bring this tooth over there. See if that works, because retouching it leads to a lot of problems. Okay, now do I have any transparency on there? It looks like a transparency is on there, but there isn't. So I'm going to Command D. And that looks pretty good. I'm going to use the spot healing brush again to see if I can get rid of some of those things. Yeah, it makes it a little brighter too. But you don't want to add like blobs to his teeth. Oops, which I just did. Well, I'm stepping back a couple steps there. And I'm going to use the spot healing brush. I'll come back to that tooth on this line. So just go in there and get rid of these lines. Now you have to do this carefully because there are different values on his face. So you don't want to smear into a different value because it may bring some different values into the area that you're retouching. Okay. So that works out pretty well. Going up to his hat. Let's see. And then this nose area. Oh, makes it brighter. And then there's a line here. Yep. And no, there you go. So you have to take your time in doing this part because it's very tricky, lots of different values. You could really distort his face. I've seen some bad looking pilot faces. So what you want to do is really take your time and enjoy it. Get rid of that line. I just made a sort of a swipe. So take your time and get rid of all these little specks in the whole thing. It's really an enjoyable, just like the butterfly was, where you investigated those 16 different effects. You can really have fun doing this assignment. So I will show you in the next video about the filters. Okay, thank you for watching.